Hello and welcome, everybody. We're particularly honored to welcome Mayor Janey, Representative Michaelwitz, our City Councilor Ed Flynn and Lydia Edwards, Housing Chief Sheila Dillon, Kristen Harrell and Molly Wallahan, Lockwood from the Life Initiative, Karen Chen from the Chinese Progressive Association, and so many other people here who really made this project possible. I'm Lydia Lowe from the Chinatown Community Land Trust. I'm the Executive Director, and this is Suzanne Lee, our President, and she'll be speaking in Chinese while I'm speaking in English.
大家好，我唔使介紹，你哋都識得我啦，係咪？我今日我係李素影，我今日喺度啦，係因為我而家係呢個麻埠土地發展協會嘅主席。咁今日咧，我同我個主任一齊嚟到多謝市長、我哋呢度嘅議員，仲有房屋局個局長，同埋捐錢俾我哋嗰啲人士，可以幫我哋買翻啲屋，留翻俾一般嘅家庭可以用嚟永遠嘅居住。
So today is particularly meaningful because housing instability and inequity have been worsened by the pandemic. And we're still facing the COVID variant threats and expiration of the eviction moratorium. But we're hopeful that we're on the right track here in Boston, and we're paying particular attention to what it means to recover with equity.
今日我哋呢個係大好日子，我哋好高興咧喺呢度能夠公佈我哋喺唐人街，尤其是喺唐人街點樣去協助一般嘅勞苦大眾可以留翻喺個城市嗰度居住，因為大家都知道呢個住屋問題係非常之嚴重，尤其是喺呢個疫情之下，太多嘅人咧時時都聽到有被逼遷，或者就算冇被逼遷，佢哋做過工作賺到嘅錢都係唔夠交租嘅。咁我哋要想盡辦法點樣可以協助解決呢個問題。咁今日係一個好消息。
29 Oak Street, the row house we're celebrating, was home to generations of Irish, Lebanese, and then Chinese immigrant working class families since the 1840s. But our immigrant families and historic row house streets were emptied and ravaged by Airbnb and the short-term rental industry in the last 5 to 10 years. So we're especially proud and grateful to be reclaiming these row houses to be affordable homes again for working class households as part of a broader effort to create a row house protection area that corrects some of the inequities in our zoning history and a historic conservation district.
點解今日嘅日子咁重要呢？大家都知道喺唐人街呢度附近好多呢啲矮樓，係咪？呢啲矮樓咧，有史以嚟都係移民家庭喺度居住嘅。但係以往嗰5年10年以內咧，好多係發展家買咗佢，然後將佢轉為分層出售，好似做酒店咁樣，咁變咗一般嘅家庭冇辦法繼續喺唐人街住落去。咁我哋特別高興啦！我哋由今日開始買翻嗰啲矮樓，將佢改為分層出售嘅可負擔性房屋，俾翻一般嘅移民家庭可以繼續喺呢度住落去。尤其是唐人街呢個區啦，係受到呢個有史以嚟咧都未曾有過任何房屋嘅保護。咁我哋而家亦都希望從呢個方法推動市政府將呢個區可以當為係歷史遺物區，唔係話歷史遺物，而係一個重要嘅文化區。好似Beacon Hill 金鐘頂上邊，或者係 Bay Village 嗰度，嗰啲樓係有保護㗎。唯有我哋唐人街呢啲矮樓就冇保護，我哋都希望有咁樣個保護。
And when we first started the Chinatown Community Land Trust several years ago, a lot of people looked at us and said, a community land trust in Chinatown? Do you have some land? Well, good luck with that. But I think that we are proving today that it is never too late to take control of your community and stabilize your community. So usually we recognize the development partners, the funders, the government officials, and we will. But today, we particularly want to recognize the many, many people in our community who made this work possible. I'm sorry. The hundreds of community members who signed petitions, marched, attended zoning hearings, held press conferences over the past few years, led by the Chinese Progressive Association and the Chinatown Stabilization Committee, who stood up and fought to preserve our small-scale row house streets for working-class families. And the city councilors, like City Councilor Lydia Edwards, City Councilor Ed Flynn, and at that time a city councilor, now Mayor Janey, who stood by us as we fought to preserve our small-scale row house streets for working-class families, to control and regulate the short-term rental industry, because you created the conditions for this property acquisition to happen.
點解今日呢個日子咁重要呢？我哋記得我哋嘅土地信託會成立早幾年成立嗰時啦，好多人都話你哋傻嘅，話我哋傻嘅，點可以喺唐人街做個信託會？根本已經冇地啦，同埋啲樓價係咁貴。咁我哋特別咧喺呢度要多謝好多社區居民，尤其是啲老人家，時時都簽名。我哋有乜嘢請願書咧，佢哋都出嚟簽名。去邊度遊行啦，佢哋都有份去參加。咁使到市政府重視呢個問題。好多謝我哋幾個議員，好似費蓮議員、Lydia Edwards 議員。同以前而家係市長 Mayor Janey 都幫唐人街可以有今日嘅機會買翻呢啲矮樓，能夠永遠為我哋一般嘅勞苦大眾有家可歸。
And these are Boston's first community land trust condos, which are affordable home ownership units that will remain affordable even if they change hands, through a renewable 99-year ground lease owned by the community. And this model offers individual families some of the wealth-building opportunities of ownership, and at the same time, in the face of gentrification, it offers the community stability for generations to come.
點解攞返呢啲矮樓俾一般嘅家庭居住係咁重要？因為我哋呢個社區有史以嚟都係移民家庭、工人階級家庭嘅居住嘅地方。點解而家我哋喺咁貴嘅房屋咁貴嘅時候可以造成呢個低收入嘅房屋呢？就係因為有呢個土地信託會，下邊嗰啲地永遠都係歸屬信託會同埋社區擁有嘅。樓上嗰啲樓呢，就賣出去，啲家人可以喺嗰度住，咁佢哋有機會喺嗰度永遠住落去，同埋呢亦都可以為佢下一代儲埋啲錢，繼續喺嗰度。但係嗰個地呢，永遠都係社區嘅，係從呢個方法，我哋可以保持呢啲矮樓，可以為我哋嘅工人家庭繼續留喺社區嗰度居住。
So we want to thank the mayor and all of our partners at the City of Boston, guided by the hardest working city staff member in history, Housing Chief Sheila Dillon. And
raise your hand. Sheila, raise your hand so people know who you are.
And her whole team at the Department of Neighborhood Development, our partners at the Boston Planning and Development Agency, Community Preservation, which is supporting external work on the row houses, and the Inspectional Services Department. We thank you for your leadership. for your commitment to this community and your willingness to go the extra mile to make housing preservation possible. And we so appreciate the additional funding for the Acquisition Opportunity Program this year to address the rapid property turnovers that we are seeing now.
喺呢度我特別要多謝市政府房屋部門，尤其是個房屋局長，佢喺後邊嗰度好幫我哋手，仲有所有政府個部門咧，同我哋一齊合作，幫我哋攞翻啲基金嚟到協助買呢啲樓。
And we also especially want to thank our lenders and funders. Kristen Harrell and Molly Lockwood are here from the Life Initiative, who stepped up to take a chance and provide this young community land trust with a line of credit to achieve the acquisition of 29 Oak Street, 95 Hudson Street, and other row houses to come.
更加要多謝呢個銀行，有間銀行咧，佢借款俾我哋，提供啲款項，等我哋有時間同埋有錢可以買翻呢啲牌樓。到現時為止，我哋買咗2間，就希望就繼續咁樣買落去，將佢改為可負擔性房屋。
I also want to thank some 50 private donors who gave to our Row House Preservation Fund, a capital campaign that allowed us to deepen the affordability of the units as well. Okay. And of course, I want to recognize our core project team who worked day in and day out to make this project happen, including Lawrence Wong of Wongshu Construction, Doris and John from Maloney Properties, and my total partner in crime, who's kind of hiding in the back there,
In the red dress.
Eliza Data of E3 Development LLC.
除咗市政府各部門之外，我哋自己社區同埋我哋啲朋友都好多人捐助錢，等我哋有咁嘅基金可以買翻呢啲牌樓，尤其是多謝同我哋一齊合作嘅各界人士，能夠令到我哋有今日嘅日子。
Next, we want to introduce 2 of the new home buyers who can tell you a little bit about themselves. And first, we'd like to introduce Mei Dan Lin.
Why don't you both come up together?
Okay. And Eddie Hickey.
I'll translate for you. 你可以講，你要誰講？
那 Eddie 先讲。
應該你，你可以講，你講國語可以的。
大家好，很高興我這次能買到29 OAK Street 的這個房子，也很感謝華信會基金會，讓我們有一個穩定的家在唐人街，讓我的小孩可以得到一個更好的教育。謝謝大家 ，Thank you.
So Abby was really pleased to be here today to thank the Land Trust for providing this opportunity for her young family that they can stay in the community so they can get a good education now that she does not have to worry about being kicked out that so many of her friends are worrying about.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here to thank the Chinatown Community Land Trust and the Chinese Progressive Association for all of I work in TV and I still don't know how mics work. I'm excited to thank the Chinatown Community Land Trust and the Chinese Progressive Association for all of their work in establishing and creating this land trust homeownership opportunity. I moved to Boston for school in 2017, and without opportunities like this created by these organizations and the city, long-term living in Boston would not have been an option for me. So I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity, and I can't say enough how much I want to thank you all for the work that you've done, and I'm very excited. So thank you.
佢好多謝信託會同埋前進會 咁多年嚟爭取呢啲咁樣嘅房屋機會。佢喺2017年喺呢度讀完書之後，喺呢度工作，佢估都估唔到，佢都可以抽籤攞到一個可負擔性房屋。如果係冇咁樣機會呢，佢諗佢唔可以留喺波士頓。咁我好多謝唐人街啲機構咁多年嚟嘅努力。
And now we're honored to introduce our mayor, Kim Janey. She's been a longtime friend of Chinatown before when she was a city councilor and when she was often one of our allies as we went to city council for many different policy issues. But even before that, when for decades she was an activist, like many of us, a community activist fighting on the lines for racial equity and educational equity, particularly in terms of education for limited English speakers and students with disabilities and those who had less access to education. So we're so happy to have Mayor Janey with us today.
我好高興歡迎我哋而家嘅市長金珍妮女士嚟唐人街。佢唔係而家先至支持我哋認識佢好多年。佢做市議員嗰個時候，每一次我哋去市政廳聆聽會，佢都出聲支持唐人街嘅問題。未曾係市議員之前啊，佢不嬲嘅職業都係為社區爭取呢個平等同埋就業同埋教育平等。我哋已經識咗佢，尤其是我本身已經同佢工作咗10幾20年。佢非常支持移民子弟嘅學習情況，同埋要更多要有翻譯、言語翻譯等一般嘅移民能夠參與。咁我哋今日好高興能夠歡迎我哋嘅市長嚟臨波士頓唐人街。
Thank you so much. It is so good to be here this afternoon, and I want to thank everyone who has had a hand in making this day possible. I want to start by thanking Lydia Lowe and the Chinatown Community Land Trust, Karen Chen, and Chinese Progressive. You guys have been strong, amazing advocates for this community, and I'm so grateful to have your partnership as we do this work in the city of Boston. And to my dear friend and strong advocate, Suzanne Lee, I have now known you and worked with you now for more than 20 years. First in education advocacy as you led the Quincy School, but even after you retired from Boston Public Schools, just remained active on education issues in so many. And I am so, so grateful for your leadership in this community and your continued partnership.
佢話好榮幸今日能夠嚟唐人街同我哋一齊分享呢個日子，就更加多謝樂主任、土地信託會同埋陳主任、華人前進會咁多年嚟為唐人街努力爭取呢個平等嘅機會，尤其是係佢講我本人，我都唔想講啊。佢話我認識咗我成20幾年，一齊同佢工作爭取呢個教育平等，尤其是我做校長嗰個時候，同埋就算退休之後咧，都繼續為波士頓學童爭取呢個教育平等嘅機會。
I also want to recognize members of my team, certainly Chief of Housing and Director of Neighborhood Development, Sheila Dillon. If you could raise your hand again. She is phenomenal in this space. We need to use every single tool in our toolbox as we address the housing crisis here in Boston and make sure that we are building housing that meets the needs of our residents. And I couldn't be more grateful to have Sheila as a part of this work.
我喺呢度要更加多謝政府部門，尤其是房屋局長 Sheila Dillon 女士，佢咁多年嚟為各社區去用市政府所有嘅方法，點樣可以協助社區保持 佢哋現有個房屋，亦都爭取起更多可負擔性房屋。如果唔係佢嗰個部門呢，我哋唔可能有今日嘅日子。
I want to also recognize the elected officials that are here, and I'll start with the Boston City Council. As was mentioned, I had the honor of being a strong advocate in that space, working with councilors here. I want to acknowledge Councilor Ed Flynn, who does such an amazing job representing this community. We are also joined by Councilor Lydia Edwards, who has chaired the Housing Committee. And I also want to recognize State Rep Aaron Microwitz, who we could not do any of this work without having strong partners at the state. As folks know, he is the chair of Ways and Means, and I'm grateful for his partnership and his leadership.
咁繼續，我要多謝係市政府同我哋一齊合作嘅人士，好似我哋嘅市議員愛德華先生。大家都認識佢啦 ，right？ 舉手 ，Ed, just raise your hand. Just mention your name. And Lily Edward 係第一區嘅市議員，佢係呢個主持房屋小組嗰個主任。仲有麥家威先生，唔使介紹都識得佢啦 ，right？ 佢係我哋嘅州議員，因為佢喺州議員嘅角色咧都非常之重要，係時時要同市政府一齊合作，等我哋有一個好嘅伙伴，為社區謀幸福。
I want to thank all of the folks who helped us get here, from lenders to investors, certainly community partners. I know Gilbert Ho is here, and I'm so grateful for his leadership in this community. You can clap for him, please.
Main Street.
Right, from Main Streets, as well as from my Office of Neighborhood Services. Lisa's here. She's done incredible work. And I also have to lift up the residents. It is the residents of this community that make Chinatown so special, so vibrant, and it is because of your advocacy, working with the different civic groups, community groups, advocacy groups, that we are here to this day to celebrate this monumental occasion with this land trust and the opportunity for affordable home ownership in Chinatown.
佢話更加要多謝我哋市政府各部門嘅服務人士，好似何遠光先生咧，佢係麻埠主街嘅主任係嘛 ？Director， 佢時時都幫唐人街。另外咧，更加要多謝嘅咧就係唐人街嘅居民，因為每一次咧有咩事咧，啲居民一定好齊心出嚟去爭取，係你哋嘅功勞先至有今日嘅日子，所以好多謝你哋時時都咁支持。
In addition to the investments and the lenders, certainly the City of Boston has had a hand in making sure we are investing in this neighborhood. And I want to thank the entire team for that. For folks who don't know, I've experienced housing insecurity firsthand. My family has roots, deep roots in the South End, which when I was growing up in the 1970s and 80s was a working class community. And my family owned a brownstone and a row house similar to the ones that we are acknowledging and celebrating to this day.
佢除咗要多謝咁多團體一齊合作之外啦，我仲要同你分享一個故事。我嘅家庭，我長大嗰陣時啦，係喺南端嗰度長大㗎。咁佢嘅家人呢，都曾經係有一棟樓，好似呢啲咁樣嘅牌樓喺南端嗰度。咁我自己好明白一般嘅工人階級家庭嘅住屋嘅問題。
My family was not able to hold on to their brownstone back in the 1980s when the South End began to gentrify. So this issue is especially important to me. It is very personal for me that we are able to come here to this day, on this day, to make sure that residents have affordable home ownership opportunities, particularly for working class families. And I want to lift up and celebrate our new homeowners who are with us today.
佢點解呢個問題咁重要呢？就好似佢自己嘅家庭一樣，佢哋喺南端有一棟樓，80年代啦，南端嗰個房屋市價開始改變，好貴。咁佢啲家人都唔可以保持佢哋嗰間祖屋，咁喺嗰個時候損失咗。咁佢好明白呢個房屋嘅問題，更加要多謝唐人街而家能夠將呢啲危樓買翻，可以成為永久性嘅，俾啲工人階級家庭可以繼續住落去。咁呢個問題唔係話你哋嘅問題，而係我自己本身，因為我嘅人生經歷有咁樣嘅經驗，覺得呢個係對我哋嘅城市嚟講係一個非常非常重要嘅問題。
As Mayor of Boston, I have prioritized making sure that we have the housing that we need in the city of Boston for Boston residents. And we also have an opportunity moving forward with our federal resources to make sure we are making additional investments. I welcome the residents of Chinatown and all across Boston to participate in our process as we determine how we will invest our federal resources and make sure that other families, whether working class families or whether individuals, have the opportunity for affordable home ownership in our city.
佢更加高興呢，作為市長，呢個有可負擔性房屋係我頭條重要嘅事要做。而家聯邦政府撥咗啲款項落嚟，我都喺全市裏邊召集大家嘅意見，可以點樣用嗰啲錢嚟到協助整個波士頓能夠保持我哋可負擔性房屋，唔單止係租，而係可以買嘅。唯有可以有多啲人可以買，繼續住落去呢，我哋先至可以穩定整個城市。
And in conclusion, I want to thank everyone again for helping us get to this point. This is a very special day in our city, and it shows that when we work together, we can come up with creative solutions in addressing our housing crisis, and we can have affordable home ownership in our neighborhoods to support working families and make sure that the residents of Boston can continue to call our city home. So thank you all for being here. I'm truly grateful to celebrate with you all and I want to continue to do this work with each and every one of you all across our city. Thank you.
我好高興今日你哋咁多人出嚟同我哋一齊慶祝。好似我頭先講話，呢個房屋問題係非常之重要。我要同全市各鄰居、各居民一齊合作嚟到解決呢個問題。因為而家我哋有比較多少少嘅錢，咁應該係一齊商量，可以點樣用呢啲錢嚟到增加我哋可負擔性個房屋，等啲工人階級家庭能夠永遠喺呢個城市住落去。多謝大家。
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Mayor Janey. And before we do our final little photo opportunity and ceremony, I want to introduce a couple of our elected officials to offer their greetings. State Representative Aaron Michaelwitz, who's already well known in this community.
I don't need to translate for him.
You don't need to translate for me?
No.
Oh, please.
Makawe.
Makawe. That's it, all right? I'm done. No, thank you for having me here today, Madam Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. And I just want to congratulate the Chinatown Land Trust, CPA, for all the work that they're doing. Initially with this pilot program. It is, you guys are correct in saying, I think a lot of people were skeptical about the opportunity and the ability to pull this through. And I know that was, I never doubt you guys, so it wasn't me. And I would never doubt anything that you guys do. When you guys put your mind to things, it is usually a success in terms of the work that's done. And usually Chinatown is the benefit for it. So I want to thank Lydia, Suzanne, and all the members of CPA and the Chinatown Land Trust for the work that they're doing. in keeping things affordable here in Chinatown and throughout the city of Boston. And Mayor, I want to thank you for all your work and leadership on this. Councilors Flynn and Edwards, thank you both for your commitment to Chinatown and commitment to the work of trying to keep things affordable here in the city. We have, the mayor mentioned a process for the city funds. We also have a process for the state funds. The $5 billion that were given to us from the federal government during the Biden bill most recently. We are having an open and transparent process. I know some folks here have already participated in that. We are going to have a number of more initiatives and more meetings on that coming up in the fall. So we welcome the opportunity to make sure that we have these discussions on how this money should be spent, and affordability and housing is a key component in that conversation going forward.
I want to be in that one.
Okay, make sure you get in that one. I'll make sure you're there. To the new residents of Chinatown, welcome to the neighborhood. I think Midan, is that how you say it? Midan and Edwards, or Eddie, I think I started calling you already. Welcome to the neighborhood, and I think that these two are perfect examples of the challenges that we face. People that want to stay in their community, and the students that come here and they want to stay here. Once they go to school here, they want to stay here. And I think that those are the two segments of the populations that we need to be looking at and focusing on how we can best serve those folks. And this is a great example today of that. So thank you both for being here today, and welcome to the neighborhood, or congratulations on home ownership in the neighborhood. So thank you again for having me here today, and congratulations.
Hey, stay. I was kidding.
Okay.
我頭先同佢講笑話，我唔使同佢翻譯，因為個個都識得佢係邊個，係咪？你哋識唔識得佢啊？麥嘉威，佢哋係代表呢個區嘅議員，喺州政府即係金鐘頂嗰度，佢時時為我哋出聲。佢話好高興咧，今日嚟有咁嘅日子。佢都知道信託會開始嗰陣時候，有好多人咧都唔信我哋可以做成今日咁嘅日子，但係佢咧有信心。知道如果我哋一齊合作嘅話，一定會有今日嘅日子。亦都知道市政府係有聯邦政府嘅錢落嚟協助嘅城市，州政府一樣有。咁除咗市政府話要同大家合作之外，佢都喺州政府裏邊推動嘅州政府可以點樣同鄰居合作嚟到增加呢啲可負擔性房屋，等啲勞工家庭同埋啲年青嘅學生可以繼續留喺波士頓。多謝大家。
Next, we'd like to introduce the best city councilor that Chinatown has ever had, District 2 City Councilor Ed Flynn.
我唔使介紹佢，大家知道佢係邊個啦，係咪？
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Suzanne. And thank you, Karen, to the Chinatown Land Trust, Chinese Progressive Association, and also the Chinatown Residents Association that are also here with us. I want to say thank you for this tremendous partnership with Sheila Dillon's team at Department of Neighborhood Development, working closely with Mayor Janey, but also my colleague on the Boston City Council as well, Lydia Edwards, who's been a real champion of housing for immigrants and for working families and seniors. So we're also proud of the tremendous work of Aaron Michaelitz, who does exceptional work at the State House for this community. And what I wanted to leave you with, one brief message is, or two brief messages. I don't think in my entire career in government I've met a more dedicated group of people than the Chinese Progressive Association in terms of fighting for what's right in our city, and fighting for immigrant rights, and fighting for working class families and seniors. So I'm proud of the tremendous work they do every day in making sure Boston is welcoming to everybody. And my final point is, we still have a tough road ahead of us during this pandemic, and it's important that we work together. We treat everybody fairly, with respect and dignity, especially those without a voice in government, including our immigrants, including our senior citizens, and struggling families. So having said that, I'm proud to be here with you.
知道愛德華議員係唐人街有史以嚟最好嘅議員，點解呢？因為佢時時嚟唐人街聽我哋嘅聲音，係咪？佢咪代表我哋？咁佢話喺呢度呢，就好多謝前進會咁多年嚟啦，咁努力，要市政府、要州政府照顧一般勞工家庭、老人家，佢從來未曾見過有一班人咁努力，時時都向佢哋提出意見，去同大家一齊去爭取。如果唔係有咁樣個團體喺個社區裏邊，唔會有今日嘅日子。佢哋都好感動，其他議員同佢一齊合作，一定要一般嘅移民，尤其是唔識講英文嘅移民，你要知道市政府嘅議員係聽到你哋嘅。佢希望佢鼓勵大家一齊努力，繼續為我哋嘅市民爭取應有嘅權益。
And last but not least, we'd like to introduce City Councilor Lydia Edwards to say a few words. People may not know this, but she had a special role in making this project happen because she actually introduced us to and helped us set up a negotiation with the seller.
最後一個要多謝嘅啦，係第一區議員Lydia Edwards， 因為就係佢介紹嗰個發展商俾我哋相識，等我哋能夠同佢談判買翻呢啲矮樓。
Thank you and good afternoon. A lot of people don't know, before I was in politics, I worked at legal services, and I got some of my first clients in 2012 from CPA and working for workers' rights and working with this organization for almost 10 years. But it's true, I got a call from very persuasive women, Lydia and Karen, who said, we want to try something new. We're going to make history. We're going to get a developer to sell it back to the community. And I said, okay, but I don't doubt you either. I know not to doubt you at all. And so I called up the developer and I said, let's have a coffee. And we discussed, and I can be persuasive a little bit. And he agreed to meet with CPA and ultimately agreed that the best thing to do was to give it back to the community. And I want to thank you so much for making history, because when I look at East Boston and I see how many developers, and we assume once it's sold, it's gone forever, this is precedent setting. This is what we could do differently, getting developers to come back and give back to the community in real ways. So I want to thank you for your leadership, your decades of leadership and community organizing, and again, breaking the mold and making history yet again.
We cannot do it without partners in government, right? That's what good government is for. Okay. 佢最後呢係最後一個演講人，點解我哋特別多謝佢呢？就係佢介紹嗰個發展商俾我哋相識，因為前進會同信託會向佢投訴，話因為佢係房屋局嘅嗰個主席，話呢啲發展商佢哋買咗之後，有冇可能社區買翻？從來未曾聽過有人咁樣提出呢個意見。咁我哋呢個係第一次成功。咁做咗呢個例呢，其他地方其他好似東波士頓有相同嘅問題，都應該可以學咁樣做，唔好以為話啲發展商買咗之後就唔會損失咗啦。我哋可以一齊合作，點樣想方法將嗰啲樓買翻嚟，俾做呢個可負擔性房屋。
So we would just want to close the program here. Thank everybody for joining us, and we're just going to take a moment to go across the street to 29 Oak Street and present the keys to the new owners.
This key really works.